Dearest mother, I may believe I'm psychic. Because during our last recording, I mentioned, hey, we might have to group some of these together because, hey, that one joke episode with that guy and Sugar Bear or Honey Bear didn't last long. And then, lo and behold, the next episode had that same guy and it followed the same pattern for the same reason.
Yep.
Alrighty. So we watched episodes 7 and 8. We'll start with Pootan. So Noboru Yamauchi of Distraught High has discovered that there's not much to watch on TV anymore. He hopes to form an alliance with Kamiyama until he finds out that Kamiyama likes a new TV comedy. Will Noboru ever realize what's so funny about the new show? And what will happen when Kamiyama finally meets his old middle school friend? Oh, nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Pootan is busy with his tax reports.
I mean, I get what they're doing with this episode where they're making fun of comedy duos and then lazy children's entertainment stuff. Last year when Mike and I were covering the summer anime season stuff, we watched a show called Uramichi Onisan, which was basically the whole premise of a bunch of young 25-year-old adults working on this children's entertainment show, and they just hate it. And it's a miserable experience. Mm-hmm. And everyone knows it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to maybe cover that if they don't announce a season 2.
I would love to, because that show had a great sense of humor.
Oh, it's super funny. Way more substantial than this one. So basically, our comedy expert, or, snob, Noboru, is just watching Pootan, and he's just like, this is just not funny. It's just trash. And then, of course, his friend is just like, man, Pootan kicks ass. Yes. And then he gets his ass beat.
And he turns into a star. He turns into Patrick Star when he hits the ground.
And so then it's just Noboru thinking the only way I can improve on TV these days is to actually get on a show with a comedy duo. And I don't know how I'm going to do that. And when Hayashida and Kamiyama are talking, you see that the bubbling afro and then their teacups, which are huge, are also bubbling also. And then it just turns to basically Noboru hate watching Pootan to try to find out why it's so funny, and then coming up with the most nonsense kind of
it's the
results.
Funny furry outfits. That's what does it.
I even bought a bunch of merchandise to see what happens. And he just has man, this show is just dumb and terrible. But wait, as an up and coming comedian, I can't just say it's dumb. And it's basically someone who overthinks about dumb random comedy. It's what does it mean? And it's just sometimes it's just dumb. Yeah. There's don't overthink it.
Exactly.
And it is very funny. I mean, it's still funny, but yeah, this is definitely one of those episodes where they had to kind of really stretch the bit. And that sometimes doesn't always work out well.
Every time it gets it, it's it's one of those things where it's it's funner to watch than break. Because it's again, try to over-examine this. Why was it funny? Because it was funny.
That's basically what we're doing. It's every episode we try to find some things to talk about, but our conclusion is it's just funny.
And it's some of them will have little moments in the next one that might have been the funniest gag in the entire show, in my opinion, was literally fucking a half a second, and they do in the first 10 seconds of the next episode. But yeah, when they keep doing the same exact joke, it's a very much good iteration of just they have the duos. There's anything you want to talk about? And then you're oh, it's the funny outfits. It's only the funny outfits. And there's no furry outfits. Is there anything you want to talk about? No, not really.
There's nothing I can think of.
There's nothing I can think of.
It's not the outfits.
Yes.
And I mean, I get it. Sometimes I get kind of snobby when I'm just like, oh god dang it, why are people watching this trash? But yeah, there's just not much. And then they try to do a last minute introduction to Tabuta or some.
I don't know what the hell that was.
It's basically
I thought I turned on a different show in a drunken stupor for 2 seconds after that thing turned on.
It's like, oh my gosh, it's my friend from middle school. And it's like, well, I don't know what you were thinking. I'm not going to speak in that. That thing hurts my throat, man. Just a high-pitched voice of just like an old friend who looks like like one of those background characters you see in anime that are like way off in the distance, so they don't have to put any detail into them.
Yeah.
I love how he walks in with like a completely different background.
Yes.
He does. It's like an industrial, like a factory or something like that. And they even bring back some of the gags from the first episode where it's just like, I don't know if you were going to do something with like your eyebrows or something like that. And
talking to Kamiyama about how much he's changed in his look since they saw each other last. It's like, I've changed.
And it's just one of those like filler episodes, and that sounds weird, all things considered, with this show, since it's all just filler to get to the punchlines.
It feels like I'm watching a Whose Line Is It Anyway skit every time I turn an episode on.
That's a really accurate representation of it all, man. Like, it is Whose Line Is It Anyway, but anime.
Basically.
And somehow scripted.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's a good episode, but it's definitely, like, I think my least favorite so far, just because of how much they had to stretch that one gag.
Yeah.
Now, with
the next episode, however, I think
there's 14 different gags in it.
Yeah. So, Electric Warrior. It's time for the physicals. The doctor is an experienced one, but he has a problem checking out Mekazawa. So he instructs him to head up to another doctor. Kamiyama and Hayashida accompany him, and they wind up at an electronics store. The man there checks out Mekazawa, but accidentally erases his memory. At Maeda's house, the boys celebrate Freddy's birthday, which is just a day Kamiyama and Hayashida picked at random. Then another day they celebrate Takenouchi's. Maeda is upset that they have to celebrate it at his house. So with the first gag, it's just, well, Brock, you talk about the opening gag.
They have the physicals, and then he's not quite sure about how to do it because, again, it's Takenouchi, it's a robot, and then he has Freddy. He's like, I wonder if he speaks Japanese. But as they're getting ready, he's like, everyone take your clothes off. I started crying laughing because you have Hayashida take the top of his fucking scalp off, and he's got black hair under it. That's my favorite joke in the whole fucking show. I just didn't see that happening. He takes nothing else off except the top of his head.
So yeah, the doctor is just, it's like, what the hell? Well, first of all, Freddy is huge. he's like I know they're probably just
tall.
Yeah, he is 8 to 10 feet tall in that one shot, and he's just like, man, how do I deal with this one student who is just, Mekazawa looking like a tin can? And
can you show your back to me, sir? That is my back.
I don't know what I'm doing here. We're gonna have to, like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this day if I have to deal with another robot or something like that. Better be just a gorilla or something. And it is gorilla. He's like, oh, thank God, it is just a gorilla. I can do that. And he starts walking out. Going up to the
gorilla.
That sounds like someone who had to like improv and force his way to keep filling up space.
I thought he was gonna commit suicide on the roof.
That would have been dark.
I was like, I don't know where this is going.
And then the next day, Mekazawa's like, oh, I'm crying. And they're like, what's wrong, Mekazawa? And it's like, the doctor didn't know how to treat me yesterday, and he thinks I need to go see a specialist. I don't know, but it's not here. So can you guys come with me?
I'm pretty sure they still don't understand that he's a robot.
No,
that was like a whole plot of like episode, I want to say 3, that he would
I think so.
hoping that he would realize that
and it's just like, I don't. Well, it's like they come close because they're like, I don't think you have to worry about anything, man. I think you're in the clear. And then they get to the electronics store, and Mekazawa's like, this is the right address, but I'm wondering if the doctor got it wrong. It's like, no, I think this is it. Because, doctors own electronics stores on the side. I don't know what happened next, but the guy comes in and has a heartfelt speech. It's like, man, kids these days just throw away things when they're damaged. And it's like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? And then he completely wipes the memory off of Mekazawa.
The worst part is it's like they show. I don't get what it was meant to be, but like they show that there's kanji on his shirt that says guts. And then when he comes out, the kanji's erased off his shirt. I don't know if that means his guts got taken away or like what, but like they start scratching for the instruction manual. Like, I don't know. I didn't get given any instruction manuals.
Please don't use any personal information like your birth year or whatever.
No,
so then,
lost his memory.
So then they just move on to a completely different skit, which that's common for this show. They'll just skip a storyline that could have been interesting, but heavens forbid they ever focus on a plot in this show, which is the point of why it's great. But it's also like, don't give us high hopes for a plot. Yeah, don't get attached. So then it's just like they're celebrating Freddy's birthday at Maeda's house, and Maeda's just like, why do we have to have the birthday here?
Great,
like,
it's wonderful. Why does it have to be at my house?
Come on, Maeda, you're being selfish.
Yeah.
Like, we work really hard. And then they're just like, do you even know when Freddy's birthday is? It's like, no, we don't. So that's why we just chose today. And they all have like the creepiest, like, happy birthday, jackass. Or something like that.
No, and like they do the is it Hokkaido? What's his name? The bald guy.
Oh, Takanuchi.
They talk about how they're like, again, why did it have to be at my house? And they're like, well, we're actually holding it on a houseboat.
Oh yeah, Takanuchi's just like, I don't think I need to repeat myself, but I am Takanuchi, the strongest of the first years. And it's great that they're celebrating my birthday, but I didn't even take into consideration that we'll be on a houseboat. I like that. They just keep it quick and clean. I don't know why they're on a houseboat, but screw it.
Nothing makes sense in this show, and that's exactly why it's great.
And then they go into having a debate of like who's the strongest. And once again, there's just nothing's going to don't expect anything. And then the what's the leader's name? Hokuto. It's just like, well, if it means anything, I could tell you all about the strongest person in my personal army. It's like, you have a personal army?
Wait, you guys are the part of the Hokkaido syndicate or something?
Yeah, then they start having like a debate and everything, and then Maeda keeps getting pissed off at it. It's like, why do we have to have it at this house? We just replaced the floorboards. Just get out of here.
Just get out of here.
It's like, you don't go into that fridge without permission. You put down that banana. To the gorilla.
Stop yelling. Isn't that your cat?
Stop yelling, but this is your cat.
Your cat. And then we see Maeda's mom, who we have.
Mom.
Yeah. Just opens the door, puts tea down, closes it. And then, like, the gorilla's, like, on the ceiling at one point, and they're just like, oh my god, that was Maeda's mom. Oh my god. And it's like, okay, is there a punchline? What's the punchline? And then the show ends.
They don't even try to make punchlines. They're just like that. So there was a scene. Bye.
It makes me wonder if this is what the manga was actually like. Like I'm sure it's still like nonsense. Like every other panel is a Far Side comic, but it's just like, I wonder if there were ever any of these gags that had like a more extended punchline or a different punchline altogether, or if it was just like, hey, that's how it ends.
I have no idea.
No, but
all I know is that I'm just having a blast watching this.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely have to keep like putting these episodes together unless there's like a super long episode or a plot line that's like, okay, we can actually only talk about one this time, but I highly doubt that.
I'd like to know the process between, all right, we're going to have one ongoing joke throughout the entire episode. This one, we're going to have 14. And it's like, and then they do the animations like with the freaking like coffee thing where it's just like, you know, in the anime, they like in the manga, they just talked for a while. Pick one random thing to make 5 times bigger than it should be, and pick one thing that shouldn't animate and animate it. Why? Because it'll be funny.
They do the whole centering cigarette thing again, where it's just like little weird gold thing straw with like the little Dragon Quest slime on it. During that first the doctor checkup.
The Pootan.
Yeah, and then what else do they do? Then it's just like, really? You wanted to have a debate? I was hoping for a rampage. Great shows. But yeah, sometimes these episodes are starting to stretch thin.
Well, that's what it is. It's like, I think that it's a testament each time where they're like, how far can we get this? Because every episode is exactly 11 minutes. They're just kind of like, how far can we get this thing? Because we're not exactly doing overly complicated animations to where we need to, where each episode length is different. We're like, we have an exact chunk. How many animations can we stick in that 11 minutes?
Animations. No,
animations. It's how do you hand draw stop motion animation?
No idea. The show is ahead of its time, buddy.
All right. Let's get on out of here.
You can find me on Twitter at CamsEyeView. I have my own website called camseyeview.biz where I review animated films and shows from around the world called The Other Side of Animation. I also am the co-host of the Renegade Animation Podcast on renegadepopculture.com, and I have a Patreon at patreon.com/CamsEyeView. There we go.
All right. And Mike, where can we find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at CaptainK42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at RenPopCulture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser, on the Banana Meter. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And last but not least, everything can be found at RenegadePopCulture.com. You need to escape, so do we.
Absolutely. And you can find me everywhere at Organoid0 and mostly on Twitch and YouTube. Until next time, we will see you all later. Bye!